Sorry folks, it
Hopefully
dropped
they'll
out
be
there
able
for a
to
moment there.
rejoin us.
We dropped out for a moment there. Let's see if people can rejoin. Just wait a moment for people to rejoin.
Yeah. I could maybe just put it, you can move it over, that's what I was trying to do. Just put up a little, okay, some people rejoining there. There we go, got some rejoining. Thank you for rejoining. You just dropped off there.
Right, you can hear us again.
Somehow
So let's
we
just
went
gently
off.
close our eyes again and just reconnect with that awareness that is aware right now. Just reconnect with that space of peace within you that's present here and now. Just bring your awareness back to the breath, back to the breathing, back to the listening, to any sounds that you can hear right now. We've got a lovely wood fire tonight that we can hear. And there is a great realization to be had as we step back from the personality, back from all the objects that we possess, back from our relationships. There is a sense of freedom within the awareness of presence. And from this state, we can choose. We are free to choose. We're free to choose how we feel and how we experience the moving circumstances of our life. From this state, we're free to choose happiness, contentment, empathy, compassion. We're free to choose love. When we are attached to our personality, and our personality is attached to the objects in our awareness, and we become fearful of losing them, we're not in control. We're not in control of how we are experiencing life. Fear, the mind, personality, and ego are then controlling us. And the only way to freedom is to step back into your true self, which is being. The human side is a side that we generally identify ourselves with. And that's wonderful. But without the awareness of being, the human part creates a lot of pain and suffering for us. So as to realize that you have the power within you in any moment, irrespective of the circumstances around you, to step back into being, to step back into presence, to step back into peace. And from this place, you're truly free to choose how you experience, how you feel. You're truly free of the mind. And that's the greatest power you can ever come up with, the power of presence, the power to choose love instead of fear. This is what awakening is about. This is what self-realization is about. It's not something in the future. It's stepping back into alignment with the here and now, with the isness of just this moment. It's beautiful here. It's peaceful here. And there is love in this moment. Unconditional love. It's always here, always now. So take a deep breath in, right down to your toes, and a beautiful, long, releasing, relaxing breath out. Just let it all go, let it all go, let it all go. Take a second, very deep breath in, right down to your toes, and a long release breath out. And a third, very deep breath in, take it right down to the toes, and now take it also to the top of the head, filling your whole body up, and then that beautiful, long, relaxing breath out. And as you breathe out, gently open your eyes and look around the room now, and just see if the objects, possessions, furniture, computer, if it looks maybe a little bit different. If you can see it more objectively without the attachment. Thank you. I'm sorry about that little hitch in the middle, and thank you for joining us again. Thank you.
Good to have you
Thank
back.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thanks, John. That was lovely, even with the gap in between.
Okay.
Thanks for rejoining. Yeah. This full moon is about expecting the unexpected. So there we go. So that was a little bit of unexpectedness right there. We're actually in just a place just outside Plett, and we had a look outside the window just before we started, and it is the most beautiful full moon rising. It's just this huge big orb. So full moon was today at 2 o'clock, and I put out already a video on it, but really the energy of it is very much what John was taking you through there, because the energy of this full moon, it's an Aquarius full moon, Aquarian, and it's the second full moon in a row in Aquarius. So that doesn't happen often, which is why they called it once in a blue moon. It happens very seldom that you actually have a moon in the same sign twice in 1 month. So what it does is it accentuates the energy of that full moon. So if you look at the energy of the full moon, you see that it's actually in Aquarius, in the sign of Aquarius, opposite the sun in Leo. And it's basically at the very end of Leo, because at about midnight tonight, the sun actually moves into Virgo. So it's kind of a final, like a grand finale of the Leo month, really. And Aquarius is a sign that's all about observation. It's about sort of detached observation in a way. It's about cultivating the witness, which is what John was just intuitively
And I didn't even know that.
taking you through. He was asking me what it was about, and I said, "Oh, just do your thing." So he wasn't even aware of that.
No, I wasn't.
So it's about cultivating the observer. It's a skill that many Aquarian people have, is that they're actually able to see things from a slightly sort of almost sometimes a higher place, but in a way where you can actually see things in an abstract way. You can understand the connections between things. You can see that things aren't necessarily the way they are. It's a sign that rules energy. It rules interconnective. It rules it's connected with sort of kind of galactic energy, higher vision. So it's a very interesting sign in terms of what the energy is. And it's very strong this month because the ruler of Aquarius, which is a planet called Uranus, has just turned retrograde. And whenever a planet turns retrograde, the energy of that planet is emphasized. So we've got Uranus turning retrograde plus the second moon in a row in Aquarius, which is all about freedom. Aquarius is a sign that's related to freedom. What is freedom? It's a sign that's related to the new, to new visions, not the old. So the old traditional ways are not of concern when Aquarius is around. It's really, really about forming a new vision. So I really see this full moon as creating a new vision for ourselves and for our planet. It's like an opening where we can actually look and say, is our vision actually working? Are we still on? Yes. Yeah. Is our vision still working? Are we sort of a little bit, sort of, is it kind of a bit old now? Is it the same thing that we're doing over and over again? Are we in a comfort zone? Are we stuck in a rut? This is the full moon energy, and it lasts not just for today, it lasts for the next few days to actually say, okay, where am I in a rut? Where do I need to actually get out of this rut? Where do I need to do something different? How can I do something different? That's this energy. It's in a beautiful aspect to two other planets. Which were they? Mars and Mercury in Virgo. Very beautiful trine. It's what we call a trine, which actually gives us the potential to find new vision for the way that we actually take our energy out there, as well as for our communication. So if we felt that our communication's stuck, this can actually be an opening of that. If we felt that our energy in terms of moving forward has been a bit stuck, this can actually be a little bit of an opening, bearing in mind that the ruler is still retrograde, and he's joined a whole lot of other planets that are retrograde. So a lot of us are experiencing a kind of sense of one step forward and a few steps backwards. And that's because that's retrograde season, where it's about reassessing, looking at, seeing how you can actually do it differently. But essentially for me, this is about breaking free of outdated beliefs, outdated notions. It's about breaking free of the traditional way of doing things, what we've been told, and actually finding our own vision, actually looking and seeing, does this that this person's telling me make sense for me? Does it ring true? Is it truth for me? Or do I need to actually look further? And for me, looking further is looking inwards, actually. It's actually saying, what's true for me now? That's the place that we actually find the new vision. We don't find it out there. We find it by connecting with how we're feeling in this moment and connecting with that quiet place. So that's a little bit about the full moon.
It's quite interesting because this week we're starting a new Journey to Freedom course. It's a 13-week course, and this week, which is the free introductory week, we're looking at life vision.
Life vision.
So that's a good week.
As luck would have
and I
it,
know some of you have joined the Life Vision week, and you can still join. You get the whole week's work if you just go online. It's free to join. And that's all about Life Vision. So this is the right time to do it.
The right time to start a new
Life Vision.
Life Vision. And what is your life vision? Because life visions change. It's like John was saying, your belongings change. Visions change. We have to. I think we're at a time in our humanity where we actually can't attach to anything. What we thought was true isn't true in many cases. What we thought was going to last forever doesn't. No. And so we're learning that. We're learning that everything is transient. And we're moving towards finding that which isn't transient. And that's inside us. Yeah. And that's really what our journey to freedom is about. It's finding that part of us which is always there and always will be there and always was there.
And it's the real power. That's our real power. We've been misled to think that the power is in our intellect, is in our education, is in our ability to remember and our ability to anticipate. And that's not our power. Our power is in the present moment. And that's the power to choose how we feel, because from our feelings, we create the world out there.
Yeah.
If we collectively go into a state of fear, that energy goes out and creates mayhem.
Of course it does.
On the world outside of us.
Because we're putting it into the field, aren't we?
That's right. Yeah. We know the power of prayer. If you get into a state of peace and love and connection, we create a change, a shift in the physical world around us.
Particularly if it's heart-based.
Yeah.
And if you look at this full moon, it's Aquarius also relates to community, groups of people doing what we're doing. Leo is the heart. And for me, this kind of gathering that we're having tonight is more powerful than we even know. It's exceptionally powerful.
It is.
We are gathered together in a heart-based community, and whatever we create in this space, whatever vibration, frequency we find and we tune into, we're putting that out into the field.
We amplify
and
it.
It's not just one of us, it's 40 of us or 50 of us.
We amplify it. It goes out into the field. And that's very, very powerful, is to realize that our power is immense. We are, there was a man who walked the earth 2,000 years ago, and he said, you're all gods. And that's been pretty much forgotten. We have this creatorship power within us. And it's the power of how we feel. It's that intentional projection. I mean, motion is energy in motion, emotion. And we have the power. And, you know, for a lot of people, they're blocked from the freedom of choosing their emotions because they're so attached to the world of things around them. They're attached to the media, you know, and whatever the media tells them, that's how they feel, you know. And the media, unfortunately, is always there to really create fear. It pushes us down, you know. It always makes us feel less than and helpless.
Yeah.
And that particular energy disempowers us. It takes us away from our power. And I believe this what you're saying with the full moon at the moment, this is a shift of new vision. And the vision is to realize that we can create a magnificent world. And that comes from connection and community and love and caring and empathy and compassion.
That's right.
That's what it comes from. Heart. And the most powerful energy that we can work with in this energy of creation is the energy of joy. And how much of your time every day is spent in the vibration of joy? Or can you not feel joy because the circumstances are not right around you? Are you robbed of joy because of the situations and circumstances and events and relationships that you find yourself in? Or are you empowered right in this moment to choose joy? And you can. You can learn to make your mind your servant and not your master. Because if your mind is your master, you're going to battle to experience joy. Because the world out there is never going to be adequately lined up the way you want it so that you can feel joy. But if you say, no, mind, irrespective of what you're saying, no matter how you're judging this moment in the world, I'm going to choose to feel happy in this moment. I'm going to choose to feel joy in this moment. And the moment we do that, we raise the whole vibration of the human consciousness up to a completely new level. And that level is a level of empowerment, where fear and anxiety is a level of disempowerment.
Yeah, and I think what's also happening just energetically at the moment is also being amplified by this full moon, is that it's amplifying the square that I've been speaking about between Uranus and Saturn. And Saturn is the old way of doing things. Saturn is all about structure, all about the things that make me who I am, the roles, the achievements, the systems. It's all about that. And Uranus is about everything else. It's about escaping those systems. It's about finding new, innovative ways of doing things. It's about creating the new. And that's what we're actually in at the moment. We're in the old systems and the new people standing up and saying, no, but the old way is not working. Something's got to shift. And that's what's happening on our planet. And it's not easy because it's more difficult when you're very attached to those systems. The more attached that we are to the way things should be, this should be playing out like this. I should have this. This shouldn't be like this. This should be like this. I'm not letting go of this. We're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Because those things that we thought were actually going to be ongoing and stable are not. So we are now faced with the choice as humanity, as a human collective, of finding a new way, of creating new community, of creating a new vision, brand new vision. That's what it's about. But then you've got to basically let go of the things that you thought, or the things that you've held dearly to, that I'll never let go of this. We have to actually be able to embrace change, embrace the unexpected. Things happen, live calls drop, computers break down, things don't work the way we want them to work. We can choose how to navigate that, and we can choose how to navigate it in a new, unusual way. Throw the rule book away and say, how would I do this if there were no rules?
Because the other part of that also is to let go of beliefs. No belief is true in the absolute sense. Not a single belief that you hold today will be infinite. Every belief we have is transitory. It depends upon situations, circumstances, perspective. But as we change, so those beliefs change. So I would suggest that we all need to be very flexible and very open with our beliefs and less rigid. The mind loves judging and holding on to certain, this is the way it is, and that's the mind. But in truth, as you step into spirit, there isn't any of that rigidity. There's an open rejoicing to each and every moment as it unfolds, and there's an openness to the newness that each and every moment is presenting us with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time when change does happen, especially if it's difficult change, especially if it's something that we didn't see coming, the unexpected, we can often judge it as wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where the suffering comes in, because this shouldn't have happened, therefore I'm in suffering. Whereas if you can say, no, this happened.
Yeah.
Therefore it was meant to happen.
It is, yeah.
That awareness it shifts everything, because you then don't suffer.
Yeah.
You might miss the person, the things, the job, the house, whatever it is, but the suffering isn't there.
The shouldn't.
It's not the shouldn't. I shouldn't have lost it. I shouldn't have done that. That shouldn't have happened. No, it should have happened, because it did.
It did happen.
It did happen.
It did happen.
So then that means that was supposed to happen. So you could either learn from it, grow from it, evolve from it, move on to something else. So if you're in a crisis situation, it could be the very thing that's there to actually say, it's time for a change. It's time to actually move, to shift, to get moving, to get out of the crisis, to get out of the uncomfortable, limited situation you might find yourself in. It could be that.
Yeah.
You know?
Because part of suffering is attachment, as I said. The Buddha said the root of all suffering is attachment. But the other part of that is resistance to change.
Yeah,
that's huge. We don't accept today for as it is. We want it to be like yesterday. But life is always about flow. It's like if you sit at the side of a river and look at the river, and it's changing and flowing every moment, and you want the previous bit of water to, no. This is what is in this moment. And it's to, when you can live life in a state of acceptance, then you are opening yourself to receive the incredible gift that this moment has to offer you. The sacredness of this moment. That's to live your life aligned with the allowing of life. And then suddenly the gift presents itself into your awareness. Gift was there all along, but we couldn't see it because we were busy resisting life or becoming attached to other situations, circumstances, other times. And so as we let go of resistance and as we allow, life becomes so much more enjoyable because we're open to the newness that's presenting itself in each and every moment.
And it can be really exciting because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know that you have, and when you know that you have the stability within you to deal with whatever comes, from doing what we're doing here, from bringing yourself into presence, from putting your taproot into the soil, of grounding yourself every day, starting your day in a way where you're actually connected and grounded, you can deal with what comes to you. When you're spinning around on the outside, completely in effect of everything that's going on around you, you're going to wobble and spin out. So I don't think that there's ever been a more important time to do this kind of work. This is what we've all been training for. This is it. That's happening right now.
Yeah.
And we've been called to show up and say, okay, this is the time to use your tools.
Yeah.
This is the time to do the meditation. This is the time to do the grounding.
And the breathing.
The breathing. The being in nature. Nature shows us that everything changes.
Yeah.
So when we connect with nature, we connect with the rhythm, and we realize that it's not static. You just have to go to the ocean or go to a river or watch a tree, lose its leaves. Nature constantly reminds us that things aren't static, but we somehow actually believe they are, and they're not.
So in nature, it celebrates change. And, the word that goes with there very, very well with nature is appreciation.
Yeah.
So, if you can appreciate, if you walk into a forest, for example, and the trees are dropping their leaves, oh no, they shouldn't be dropping their leaves. It was so much better when the leaves were on the tree and not on the ground, We can do that, or we can appreciate, my goodness me, look at the myriad of colors on the ground, and we can appreciate the fact that these leaves are going to turn into humus and to fertilize the soil, and look at the beautiful sky that we can see through the bare leaves today. And, in life, as we live it as humans, we have this great sort of separation consciousness where we separate life from death. But when you walk in nature, there's a dance of the two. Yes, the leaves are dying, but in that death there's a rebirth, there's a revitalizing of the soil. And in the tree dropping the leaves, it's actually liberating itself for the new leaves which are going to be born. And there's no definitive distinction between life and death.
No.
When you walk in nature, what is alive and what is dead? It's hard to discern that when you walk in nature. But in the human mind, we have this great aversion to death, and we try to cling onto what we would call this thing called life, which isn't life at all. Life is the very essence that looks through your eyes. It's the ever-present energy of consciousness. That's what real life is. It's not form. It's not form at all. Life animates form. That's the difference.
Yeah. And we, as humans, we judge. I mean, John came in yesterday and he asked me, he said, what do you think's more beautiful, a sapling or a big old oak tree?
A big gnarled oak tree.
A big old gnarled oak tree.
Which is more beautiful?
Which is more beautiful? Now, I mean, our minds judge, youth as being more beautiful very often, because you've got a smooth skin and you've got beautiful body and all of that. But is it?
In nature.
Is it? If you look in nature, saplings are gorgeous, beautiful. Young trees are beautiful. But what about the old trees?
Yeah.
What about the ones that have been through and they've stood there for hundreds of years?
They've seen many seasons.
And they've stood and they've lost their leaves and they've gained their leaves and they've dropped their branches and they've had branches cut down and they've been struck by lightning, and they're still standing.
And they're beautiful. And they're absolutely so beautiful. Interesting. And in fact, you'd spend more time looking at that old tree, which is a reflection of life and everything that's happened to it. You'd spend longer looking at that than you would on a sapling, which is young and boring.
Yeah.
And so the fact is that our minds, in the human form, we judge, and we judge youth better than old age. But when we go into nature, everything changes. We don't judge young better than old, and we don't judge live, so-called live, compared to death. We celebrate it all. And it's to look with those eyes into everyone that we meet, into the old, an old face. Look at that and appreciate the wisdom and the lines of experience that are reflected in the face or the body. When we look at nature, we don't judge. When we look at humans, we tend to judge. And I believe that the shift we're going through is to step out of the judgmental mind and choose to appreciate. The word is appreciate the beauty in each and every moment. Because when we appreciate beauty, our heart opens. When we judge, our heart closes. When we appreciate beauty, our heart opens. And love is the way. Love is the answer.
And love is really the acknowledgement that we are not separate.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, is what we're moving into. The awareness that we are not separate. If we could all see energy flowing, like we can see the sea flowing and the waves forming, if we could see the energy surrounding us, moving around us, we would know that we're not separate. And we're not separate. So love is the acknowledgement that we are not separate from anything. We're not separate from that tree, or the moon, or the fire, or the water, or each other.
No.
So really there's no real need to judge, because we're all connected.
Yeah. In fact, love, the definition of love is a sense of oneness in your awareness. It's a sense of connection. That's love.
That's it.
Now, while at the external level, our bodies might be separate, our minds might be separate, our beliefs might be separate, our race might be separate, our religion may be separate, the beingness behind that, there's only one being, and it's eternal. Has no age, has no gender, has no sex. It's pure awareness, pure awareness. And that is oneness. And the recognition of beingness in yourself and in someone else, that is love. The recognition of the beingness in your eyes, in the tree as well, that is love. Or you and your pet or whatever. When you look with the sense of oneness in your awareness, that is true love. That is true. And that's the journey. That's the journey to awakening, the journey to self-realization. You're realizing the self isn't just contained within this meat suit. It's also inhabiting every other life form that you come across. It's the same
exactly.
being. It's
Exactly.
the same being. Yeah.
Well, Lisa just said, isn't it also because our minds want to name things?
Labeling.
And by doing that, we cause separation. Yeah, we do. It is.
Labeling
Our
is...
minds do that. That's what our minds are so good at.
Mm.
They're brilliant at doing that. And it's very useful if you need to name things. But if you name everything, then it's separating.
And
this is a that and that's a that. This is a new leaf and that's an old leaf.
If you think
this
of
is you, this is me.
If you think of a person who's got a PhD, they're able to label things that no one else even knows they exist. And you get clever and clever at labeling things, but in the labeling you are separating. You're walking in the opposite direction to love. Love is not about labeling, because every label is a judgment. You can have a label, but the problem is we tend to look at things through labels after that and not actually as they are. For example, that's an oak tree. I know what it is now because it's an oak tree. I mean, no two oak trees are alike. What about this one? If it's got a label on it, you conceptualize it. What is the other word? Not conceptualize. There's a word for it. But you separate yourself from reality, and you're looking at that object through a label. And we do it with people. For example, you are my wife, and we don't see the person as they are today. We see it as a label, wife, a basket, or you're my husband, or you're my child, or you are my servant, you're my boss, whatever. And we don't see them for who they are today. We see them through this label, through this role, or this whatever. And it so disconnects us from the heart. The heart does not do that. The head does that.
And we judge. I mean, we all do. You meet someone. I did a workshop, and on the first day, what they did is they actually got all of us to put labels on each other. It was not very pleasant. And you put a label on somebody that you'd hardly even met. So it was basically just you're seeing the person and you've hardly met them and you've already labeled them. You've made an assumption in your own mind as to what this person is. And we had to walk around with these labels for a day or two. And at the end of the workshop, it was quite unbelievable when you realized that the person that you thought was that way, that you judged for being that way, was absolutely not that. That 100% of people were not what we judged them at the very beginning. So
all judgments are finite. All judgments are so limited. And the journey back to love is to drop our judgments, drop our labels, let go of that, and just experience the moment through the eyes of the isness. Just appreciating this particular form in this moment, not having it, not needing it to meet your needs, and not holding on to it, but just enjoying the interaction that you're having in this moment with this particular object. Let go of the need to call it me, mine, or my. Let go of that identity of judgment, of connection, of holding, of attachment. And that's where freedom comes in, the freedom of not having that clinging anymore. It's wonderful and beautiful.
Jane's got a question there before we end off. I struggle to see pure awareness, pure energy as the same as love. I can experience spaciousness, but it does not feel joyful.
So spaciousness is not love per se. What spaciousness is a portal. It's an opening through which love flows. The more open we are, the more aware of space we are, the more we are as I think it was it Hafez said, I am a hole in the flute that the Christ breath blows through. Listen to my music. And the Christ breath is the emanation of love. The more I am open, I am that hole. That's all I am. I am the space. And through that space, when the judgmental mind is out of the way, because you can't hold space if you have a judgmental mind, as we get that out of the way, love is that energy of connection, it can't be defined in words, but that flows through us the more open we are. So, we can be, for example, intellectually open. We can have an understanding of openness, and that isn't going to be the space that allows love to come through. It is a complete vulnerability. It is this openness to whatever. That is a space that love flows through.
And then for me, love flows through that and joy arises. You can't make it happen. So it's one of those, you can't make something like that happen. It's something that arises out of that space. That's the way I experience it. So you might be sitting outside quietly, and suddenly there's just this little feeling that just rises up in you, and your mind might judge it as something else and say, "Oh, that's not joy." But if you just allow it to just grow and expand, it might grow into something. But it arises. You can't grab it and hold it and nail it down, because then you're back in your mind.
Correct.
Because you're saying this is joy or this isn't, and this is spaciousness and this isn't. So you're back in the duality.
Correct. You can't. This is going to quite sound shocking to most of you. You can't make love, and you can't make joy. They're not things to be made. They are to be opened to.
Yeah.
And as Michelle said, they arise through that opening. You know, if you're sitting watching a beautiful sunset, like we were earlier, it's not that you create love in that moment. You don't create it. What you do is your mind subsides, and through that open space, love, that sense of oneness with what you are witnessing in that moment, that arises through us. So no, you can't make joy and you can't make love, but what you can do is you can be the space that allows it to flow through you.
And call it what you want. So if love isn't the right word for you, then it can be another word. Just a word. A word can't describe it anyway.
No.
It's like a word
Totally
can't describe
inadequate.
God, or all that is. You can't really describe love. And I mean, we use the word love to describe how we feel about ice cream and our pets and a book. You know, I love that book, and I love this ice cream, and I love the cake, and love is all there is. I mean, it's one little word that's trying to encompass all of that. So we need to find our own words and our own way of describing it. And it's even words are judgments in a way, because you're actually putting something in a box, and it can't be put into a box.
Yeah, the real essence of life can't be labeled.
Yeah,
label can only be attached to things.
It's wordless.
And love and joy are not things. They're something to be experienced, but not objectified.
Yeah, so I can completely see what you mean, Jane. But so you don't have to name it. Yeah. If that word sort of goes, I don't know about that, well then use another word.
Let go of it.
You need to use another word, or just allow that openness to be there, that feeling, whatever that feeling is. And what if we had a feeling we didn't even have to name the feeling?
Yeah.
If you're sitting watching a sunset or a beautiful flower or stroking a pet, you don't exactly know what the feeling is. You just feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it inside you. There's an opening generally. There's a peace generally. But you can't necessarily nail it down to a word, because as soon as you do that, you're back up here.
Yeah.
And you're not just experiencing it fully in this moment. So that's the most important thing, is to just experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our true power, is to experience life, not to label it.
Yeah.
And that's the secret, yeah. So thank you, everyone. I think,
fun.
yeah.
I think we'll do that again.
We will.
And yeah.
We had nothing planned for tonight. We had absolutely nothing planned.
No, not at all. Not even the trying to work this camera thing.
No.
So yeah, we will. I'll lead you out with a little full moon meditation.
That would be beautiful.
It'll be a shortish one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Before that, we have to say anything, or we will say it afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by the way, we are on the way down to a beautiful place called Hogsback, and we're running a retreat there.
Yes.
The weekend. 4 or 5 day retreat, and we still have a couple of open places. If anyone wants to come and join us down there,
we're going to be sitting by the fire.
Maybe we're going to get some snow.
I think we might get snow.
Probably get some snow.
Yeah, it's going to be great. All right, let's just settle in. I'm going to lean forward so that you can hear me. And take a deep breath in. And a releasing breath out. And take another deep, slow breath in, all the way up to your lungs, filling your lungs. And then release the whole breath, all of it, on the out breath. And as you breathe out, drop your shoulders. And on each out breath now, see if you can make the out breath a little bit longer than the in breath. And with each out breath, see if you can soften your body a little bit more and a little bit more. Gently dropping into this quiet place inside you. And as we bring ourselves into this sacred, beautiful, present moment, we become aware of the sounds that we can hear. We just become aware of our breath as it enters and exits our body. We bring our focus to the full moon this evening, this beautiful, beautiful full moon. Knowing that full moons are always a time to release, to let go. It's the culmination of a full month's moon cycle. So it's a very powerful day to really release that which we don't need, that which isn't serving us. It's also a time where a lot of light can be shed on the areas that we might not be aware of prior to this. So we can have beautiful insights. We can experience shifts in energy, shifts in our paradigms, shifts in our emotional state. So I'd like us just to open up to that tonight. Open up to releasing that which doesn't serve you, whether that is a belief pattern, thought pattern, possibly a habit that isn't working for you anymore. What comes to your awareness in this moment of something that you might want to release tonight? Allow that to just arise in your awareness. And then with an intention, send it up to the light of the full moon. Release it into the full moon. Intentions are everything. You set an intention to release something, that's what's happening. And as you release that to the light of the full moon, completely let go of it. And bring your attention to your heart, to this beautiful beating heart of yours. It's kept you alive every single minute of every single day you've been alive. And for a few moments, connect with something that you would like to plant as a seed of a vision for you. Something that you would like to grow and expand as a vision. It could be something that you'd like to do to better your health, to better your relationships, something you'd like to do in your home or your work environment, whatever it is, your spiritual journey. What's the seed you'd like to plant? Let's take that and plant that inside the seed, inside the heart, into that fertile soil. You can nourish and nurture that seed, that vision, the new vision. See yourself for a moment as you would like to show up in the world. Imagine it in your mind's eye. How would you like to show up? What's your predominant feeling? Make that tangible. And feel what you feel when you hold that vision, when you have that vision. Feel it in your body. Connect with where you feel it in your body. And now know that that is the feeling that's going to feed that vision, and not the other way around. So connecting with this feeling, that's what's going to nurture the vision. Now bringing yourself back to your heart again. Bringing yourself back to your breath. Take a really beautiful, beautiful deep breath in. And a relaxing breath out. And another beautiful, deep, long breath in. All the way in. And a releasing breath out. And you can open your eyes when you're ready.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Good.
Very nice. Maybe you can all go outside now and see the
Yeah,
full moon, the
look,
beautiful full moon.
Go and plant that.
And plant that
With
seed
that
that
vision,
you
that
have there,
seed.
that vision, yeah. Oh, am I getting to choose
Yes.
tonight? Okay, I'm going to take that card. I honor the divine in all I meet. And the divine is this beautiful, beautiful being beyond comprehension. It's your being, and it's the being that occupies everyone. So I honor the divine in all I meet. That's tonight's card, and I think it's in alignment with what we spoke about. So that's beautiful. Thank you. I'll take a photograph and put it up onto the Facebook page now.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. We love you
It's
all.
really lovely having you with us.
Enjoy your week.
If you want to join us on Journeys of Awakening, Journey to Freedom, you can still register journeysofawakening.com.
Yep, that's for the online course.
Yeah,
Thank
and we
you.
meet again tomorrow night, so you can join us for Zoom.
Yeah,
tomorrow
we have
night.
a Zoom meeting tomorrow night for Journey to Freedom.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Keep tight.
Lots of love.
Nighty night.
Bye.